Welcome to Nature Speaks, everyone. My name is Tracy, and this is today's message channeled from the spirits and energies of the natural world. Today, the great spirit of plastic steps forward with a story, with gratitude, and with an acknowledgement of grief. The first thing they offered is they go, it might seem unusual that something that is a creation of the human species actually has a spirit of its own. And yet, when you think about it, they offer there's a lot that we have and create, be it systems or structures, ways of relating with ourselves, or actually a physical object that we haven't acknowledged has a life of its own. You know, that thing has a life of its own, or something will go viral and it sort of has a life of its own. And it can be anything, really. And it might be something that one person creates, and then all of a sudden it gets caught up and gets kind of multiplies and then becomes something that's within our consciousness and also in our physical world. And that is what plastic is. So plastic knows itself as a child of human intent, of human will, human ingenuity, and it steps forward with gratitude. It's thank you. And it acknowledges that it has been most useful and very broadly applied for many years. The current state that we find ourselves in, which is with, an entire planet that's just covered in plastic, is part of what they're stepping forward to say, if you don't mind us offering. The spirit of plastic goes, we would make a suggestion that when you create, whatever you create, that's of physical form, that when you bring it into form, that you make sure there's an exit plan. They go, this is what we're missing. We weren't designed with an efficient exit plan, or with an exit plan that allows us to return our physical material aspects to be reconsumed in a manner that then is able to be reapplied, reused, but also not to cause harm. And so they step forward, and here's the story that they want to share with us. And they go, there was a town a while ago where humans were working at a factory, and the conditions were terrible, the hours were long, the pay was, barely enough to survive with, if that. And so there was a protest. And the workers were asking for a fair wage so that they could support themselves and their families. When this was denied, as part of the protest, they took their shoes, which were wooden shoes called sabots, and they tossed them into the machinery, clogging the machinery. This is actually where the word sabotage comes from. This was not done for any other reason than out of the necessity of survivorship by those who were working under these conditions. So the great spirit of plastic goes, in this story, we understand ourselves as the shoe, as the sabot. They go, it wasn't the intention of the shoe, or the sabot, to cause harm or catastrophe, or to stop the entire functionings of this manufacturing facility. And yet, its very presence in the system causes this great coming to stillness of the functioning of the flow. And they go, we identify ourselves as that because we don't have the intention to harm or hurt, and yet we are aware that our very presence has and causes great harm to humans and harm to all other forms of life that may ingest us inadvertently or without being able not to, as we have. And we're broken down to smaller and smaller pieces, and also still in our larger pieces where it's in the air, it's in the waters, it's in the food that you consume, it's being shed from all sorts of places. Your physiologies and that of many other organic life forms are simply not designed to know what to do with this, or are harmed by the consumption of this. The Great Spirit of Plastic says there was a point where you were aware that some of the materials that were being used to manufacture that which is plastic were carcinogens or had other toxins in them, and still some do. And in that you've become aware and are now manufacturing without. However, the very continuance at this place in this form, where the plastics are not able to have, as they put it, an exit plan that has and allows them to be absorbed in a organic way into the whole system that is the earth plane. They go, we really do not want to be the last one standing. We do not want to be what remains here when everything else is unable to continue. And so the gift of guidance that we are being given by the Great Spirit of Plastic is the guidance that never create anything that doesn't, have both the ability to come into form and also come out of form again in a manner that allows that material to be recycled, and also not to cause harm, as it is foreign and therefore, to all of these organisms and systems. Great Spirit of Plastic goes, in truth, we would rather know ourselves completely taken out of existence if it means that our presence continues to cause this kind of, complete clogging up, sabotaging of the works of the human and earth biosphere. It's not their intent. They don't desire this. If there is another option, they go, we don't perceive that we will be fully removed. However, we would invite and encourage those of your human family to use that same ingenuity and intent and will to create versions that have and serve the manner that they have to contain, to hold, to preserve, to, materials that we want to wrap around to keep it. And they go and using other materials that have an organic nature and or may be experienced in a manner that has and will decompose as well as be composed. And that is something that they perceive will be something that, as we choose it, will come very quickly into manifestation. And of course, they would be most grateful for the removal of their presence in the waters and in the soils and the air and in all other aspects where they have and simply know themselves as their very presence as causing negative consequence. So this is the blessing of wisdom and also of pain coming to us from the Great Spirit of Plastic. They have and look to us to use the same power of our will and our intellect and our intent to create that which has and would be a solution, be a reclamation and a cleansing and a healing of their relationship, and also, the calling forth into manifestation of alternatives or of adaptations of that which they are, that have and will know themselves able to both be birthed into physical form and reclaimed in an organic manner out of physical form. And so that is the short video summary of a message and guidance and an acknowledgement of grief from the Great Spirit of plastic. And to all who have and receive this, I am most grateful for your light. If you are drawn to consume more than this short video summary, access to the full channeling of today's update is available on the Gaia Translate podcast, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform, or listen for free at www.gaiatranslate.com.